Good morning, my fellow yogic travelers. I'm mighty glad to be alive today, and I hope that you are too, as we continue to live, laugh, love, learn, linger, live the life we love. Don't forget to loaf and lubricate. All right, this week, Thursday, story day. Great, maggots and gold. Once there were a brother and sister who was walking along the field, and all of a sudden they saw their father coming toward them. Now, there wouldn't be anything unusual except the father had been dead for many years. And so the father got to them and motioned to them to follow. Now, I don't know about you, but if my father came back from the dead and motioned me to follow him, I would, and they did. He took them across the field, and there was a staircase going down underground, and he beckoned them to follow. Now, I don't know about you, but if my father came back from the dead and beckoned me to walk downstairs into the underworld with him, I would, and they did. They walked down and walked for a long time or a short time, whatever time it takes in these stories, till they came to a deserted village. And then the father spoke and said, "Hide behind that rock, watch what happens, don't move no matter what until I get back." Well, they did. And they waited for a long time or a short time, whatever time it takes, and all of a sudden a whole village came. They made a circle. The circle opened up, and what looked like the chief, how did they know it was the chief? The person's regal bearing got into the center, and all they could see was one side of him, and it was covered with maggots. And then the whole community scraped all the maggots clean. And then the chief left, and then the village left. And then they were left there in pitch black, so dark they couldn't see the hand in front of their face. And they waited until dawn. How do you know what dawn is? When you can distinguish between a black thread and a white thread, you know it's dawn. Then the village came back again. They made a circle. The circle parted. The same chief came in, but this time we could only see the other side of him, and it was covered in gold. And then the whole village buffed the gold till it was shining like the sun. Then the chief left, and then the village left. And then the father came back and he said, "So what did you see?" And the brother and sister said, "Well, we saw the village come, make a circle. The chief came in. He was covered with maggots on one side. They scraped it clean. Then the chief left, the village left. And then we waited in the dark until dawn." How we knew it was dawn? Because we could tell the difference between a black thread and a white thread. And then the village came back. The chief came back. This time he came in the center, but this time we could only see the side of him that was filled with gold. And they polished it, buffed it until it was shining like the sun. Then the chief left, and then the village left. And that's what we saw. And the father said, "Indeed, indeed." And then the father walked back, and they knew it was time to follow the father. And he stood there at the bottom of the stairs, and he said nothing. And we knew it was time for us to go back to the daylight world. And they did. And we'll never know what the brother and sister thought about what they saw in the underworld. Think about that one. Beautiful African story, maggots and gold. All right, all week and every week, I'm always talking about how does our inner being respond to positive emotion? How positive emotion launches us, propels us forward, and attracts to us that which makes up our vision. Basically, it's how do you learn to take in the good? Well, you only do it with, from the yogic point of view, single-minded focus. Your approach has to be one-pointedness, not divert, not dilute, not deflect, distract. Stay the course with what you know is important values for yourself. I want to end today by reading something from Ken Wilber, whose work I've been talking about all this week in terms of the radical truth, the fact behind all facts, the condition behind all conditions. He says, the ancient truth, the radical truth is timeless, formless, but it's not blind allegiance to a truth which a culture like ours can only benefit from by a small percentage of nostalgically oriented people who want to go back to the past. New forms have to be born to reflect global politics, technology, environmental issues, molecular engineering, AI. Past truth rose out of the desires of that time, and our truth must do the same. Increasingly adequate and more comprehensive than the great religions of the past, which are now just footnotes to the history of the development of human spirit. The future greater religion will have to evolve in a planetary and global fashion. But no individual has to wait for this to happen. Now, as in the past, the radical truth is always completely available only in the timeless present. The humanistic, rationalist, scientific state is far from being anti-spiritual, but it is the immediate form of spirit in action. No sickly yearning or morbid fixation on the past, where we're unable to die to our egos, so we latch on to the permanence and fixity of the past as a substitute immortality. But the corpse of yesterday is rancid. Let us appreciate and honor and be thankful for the past as a base upon which our present consciousness can rest, and then build on that. Loyalty to the past is misplaced intuition. Release its death grip, and stop idealizing it, and seek the timeless as it is expressed in our historical moment. So we're all here to contribute in our own way to the experience of the radical truth in our historical moment. Do your part. Have a great day. Speak to you tomorrow.